Yeah, we have audio. Perfect. Okay. All right. I'm giving everyone time for the stream to buffer and for people to come in. I had some technical difficulties again. The mic decided it didn't want to work again. So we are waiting for everyone to come in, and I will get started here in just 1 minute. All right. It is working. It is working. Yes, the volume is working. Working from home today, so you'll interact in the chat. Love it, Janine. All right. So I'm giving time people to get in here. Hopefully, I had a delay at the beginning. I'm glad it's working now. My mic's been giving me issues for some reason. Let me go ahead and get everything set up here so we can get started. Pull it up. Come on now. There we go. All right. All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I will go ahead and get started. I got a lot to cover today. So let's go ahead and get going. Good morning, XRP Army. Welcome back to the channel. As always, if it's your first time, kick back, relax, enjoy the stream. But if it's your second time, you need to hit subscribe, smash the like button, and leave a comment. I appreciate every single one of you, as always. And I actually have quite a bit to cover today, considering there's no news. And I think that's the best time to cover actually what's happening with XRP and what's going on in this community. So I want to start off and address the fact that there is a lot of pain right now. We are all experiencing it. I am a holder of XRP, just like you all. And let's cover what's happening. We fell. Let's cover what's happening. We fell all the way down to 209 last night, and currently sitting at 212.2. And don't forget, we do have 4 ETFs launching this week. Those inflows are going to take time, but this is important. And again, setting it all up for context, the title of the thumbnail here said Max Pain, and I have drawn a specific line. To me, this is a psychological element to it. I have drawn a specific line. This is our Max Pain line, right at $2. If we fall below $2, I fully expect retail to start losing their minds. And to give context of what's happening, yeah, we're in a huge market downturn right now. BTC is selling off here. Let's look at BTC and see where we're at. Yeah, BTC selling off down to 91,000. It's just, and the risk on assets is just not looking good anywhere right now, everybody. It's, there's a lot of pain and there's a lot of fear. And that's the next thing we really, really need to talk. Excuse me, I muted my mic on accident. Is the fear that's happening right now. And if you look at the fear and greed index on CNN, I mean, right, we hit 10 at the previous close yesterday. It's the lowest it's been in over 3 years. It's the lowest it's been since 2022. So we're at a 10 and at a 12. Now, what happened right after that? I mean, 2022, when we had that huge pullback and crash, and in 2021, we also had a huge pullback and crash, but the markets were at all-time lows. This is usually when whales are moving in and buying. Okay. Again, not financial advice. Nothing on this channel is going to be financial advice. I'm just telling you what I see and what I think and believe. And you can go back and do your own research and look at this yourself. And I don't have it pulled up here, but there's a lot of profit taking, a lot of whales selling right now, but there's also a lot of large institutional accumulation. And we covered that in yesterday's video, right? We talked about the amount of $1 million transactions that are taking place on the XRPL and everything that's taking place behind the scenes with authorized providers stacking XRP in ahead of the ETF launches, right? So we saw a little bit of that last week with our run up, but we also saw a little bit of that beginning of this week, followed by another sell off. So as these start stacking and pulling things off the supply, that's when we're going to start seeing price moves. And right now, with this fear and greed index at an all-time low in 3 years, I mean, believe me, everything is down right now. And we talked about the AI bubble yesterday and how we were being propped up on one specific sector. Our entire economy, or not entire economy, our entire stock market is balancing on the tip of a knife on the AI bubble, in my opinion. And if that pops, they're going to need a savior. And I talked about that in my shorts. And this is the thing. When you get into these liquidity issues and when you start talking about recession and you start talking about private credit and you start talking about all these things that are wobbly right now, and I should have pulled some of them up, but I put them in the last live stream. But with the issues of private credit and everything, with everything being so wobbly right now, it just takes one thing to set off the crypto market, because the crypto market is the most volatile market in the entire thing. And it's going to continue to be that way until we get enough institutional adoption and utility. And it's funny. I don't know if it matters or not, but it is funny and it's good for context. As I was talking to you, I'll try it up now. As I was talking to you, this increased to 15 from 12. Little bump up. It doesn't mean anything. This hanging out here, but typically, this is when prices are at their cheapest. Okay. Usually, I mean, I know there's more pain that can be felt. I don't want to say that the price can't go down, but when you look at the fear and greed index of how the markets are behaving psychologically, there's not much room to go down. When you're talking about the psychological beliefs of everyone else. Adam says XRP showed at $90 yesterday or today on Kraken, but I always wonder, why do these price glitches happen on exchanges? I personally think it depends on how they're pulling their data, Adam. And it is a price glitch. It's not, obviously someone's not sitting there buying XRP for $90 when they can go to another exchange and buy it for $2, right? So it's just a glitch. That stuff's been reported numerous times over the years and nothing's ever come from it. They could be doing like private corridor testing or things like that as well. So it's something to keep in mind when they pull that data. We don't know where it comes from, but there is a lot of private corridor testing. There is a lot of CBDC pilots. There's all kinds of things that they could accidentally pull that data from, but it's not like it's sitting at $90 behind the scenes being used somewhere else. My opinion, not financial advice, but that just makes absolutely no sense why a major institution would spend $90 for something they can spend $2 for. That's how I've always looked at that myth when it comes to the price being locked in behind the scenes. Speaking of ETFs, we're going to go to Franklin Templeton. Let me pull that up for you. Franklin Templeton ETF. Okay. Everyone wants to know about the Franklin Templeton ETF. I'm going to give you good news and bad news. Good news is everybody says it's going to launch this week. Bad news is there is no exact date. I have searched everywhere. The only thing we have is the 20-day countdown the 20-day countdown restarted on November 4th when they put in their last update. So they could go live on the 24th, as Zach Rector reported. They could go live on the 24th, but it is still ultimately up to the exchange whether they're going to list it or not. So any of these timeframes that are out for these ETFs that have to do with the 20-day launch period that is not approved by the SEC still falls under the exchange. So again, all of these dates and times are falling on the exchange. So that could be why there might be some miscommunication and misreporting, because ultimately the exchange still has to say, yes, it's live. There was a lot of miscommunication about Franklin Templeton going live yesterday, myself included. Thank you to whoever pointed it out in the chat while I was streaming. I appreciate that. So Franklin Templeton's first available date to go live will be the 24th. We also have Bitwise, CoinShares, and 21 Shares all scheduled to be able to release this week, starting tomorrow. I do believe Bitwise is actually launching tomorrow. I thought I saw the ticker go up. But according to the website here, CoinCentral, 4 spot XRP ETFs are set to launch this week. attracting institutional interest. Franklin Templeton plans to launch its XRP ETF under the ticker EZRP on the CBOE. It's a lot of acronyms to say real fast. Bitwise is expected to launch its XRP ETF between November 19th and 20th after filing its final amendment with the SEC. 21Shares and CoinShares have started the SEC review process for their XRP ETFs, with launches expected in late November. And then the Rex Osprey XRP ETF launched in September. They did not mention Grayscale or Wisdom Tree, which are also slated to go live beginning of next week on the 25th. So, and Franklin Templeton's talking about the 24th. So the end of this week, beginning of next week, we could see the 6 ETFs we've been waiting for, which could move the price up, but we could also have a sell the news event. And we have seen what XRP has been doing lately. I don't think any of my viewers are in here day trading, which is good. We are here for the long haul. We are here for the long view. And I wanted to take a minute, and I think this is perfect. There's only 6 of you in here, which is great. I see Adam, I see Janine. Who else is in here? A lot of my regular people are in here. And this is a really, really good opportunity to talk about what's just going on in the market right now, what you guys think, what you guys feel. Me personally, I believe that we are in a bear market and we are balancing on the edge of the knife of a recession. Things are not looking good in the stock market and the private credit evaluations. So I do think there could be some very near-term pain in the crypto market because of that. But I also believe in my heart of hearts that XRP fixes a lot of these issues, and their level of adoption, their level of infrastructure they've been building, their level of institutional interest that they have, all of these things are not nothing. And when you're talking about a $2 valuation on an asset that has a company that's getting $500 million just handed to it from investors because they expect it to go so far, you have that same company buying billions of dollar XRP to start treasury. To give you another example, during this high fear and greed index, you have major people. Who was it? Who's a guy at Barstool Sports just bought $1 million worth of XRP. Harvard just added to their XRP, or not their XRP. Harvard just added to their Bitcoin, making it their largest. During this last drop, when Bitcoin went under 90,000, Harvard bought Bitcoin. If that tells you anything, Michael Saylor bought more Bitcoin and MicroStrategies, but that's something else. So my point is, during this amount of extreme fear, the people with the money and the people who make a lot of money and have a lot of money, the quote unquote intelligent people in the sector, they're all buying right now. You can look that up right now. So I don't know, man. My gut is telling me there's something else happening. What do you guys think? I don't have the proof on it because I'm trying to, I want to present you guys the facts and the news, but I also feel like a lot of people don't really understand where I'm at and where I'm coming from on my beliefs of XRP. So I thought this was an excellent time while we're prepping for the ETFs and we're prepping for all these things. And we're sitting in a time of max fear to discuss what everyone thinks XRP is, what it's going to be. Not necessarily the price prediction per se. I'm talking just what do you see for XRP in the world moving forward in the next 5 years? What do you guys think? Did you guys catch the video on the debasement trade? All of these things are going to play into effect. And I'm sorry, I caught myself trying to talk to the people in the stream as opposed to the masses that are going to be watching this. And I agree with you, Adam. The newishness to crypto is gone. So like the speculatory pumps are gone. So Adam says, and newish to crypto. Adam says he is newish to crypto and gone all in on XRP, but there is so much difference of opinion on where XRP will go and the time frames. What do you think about Jake Claver and his claims? So I have always stated that no one knows what's going to happen with these technologies because cryptocurrency is a technology. They have been trying to classify it. They have been trying to figure out the clarity for it. That's what the regulatory clarity is. It has been deemed that XRP is not a security. They have that. They are the only cryptocurrency with regulatory clarity other than Bitcoin and maybe Ethereum. I think Bitcoin got classified as a commodity, but they're still working on that. So there's several things we'll have to see happen for Jake Claver's prediction to come out there. And I know that's the most popular thing because everyone's waiting for the $1,000 XRP. And a lot of the stuff he has said has come true, believe it or not, which I do find interesting as far as the DTCC coming out and saying that the first thing they're going to do is use XRP to settle the back end of the stock market. Or they didn't say XRP, excuse me. Let me get my reporting correct. They said they will be using distributive ledger technology to tokenize and settle the back end of the stock market, which we own. I mean, there's only one ledger we know of, and they're already partnered with the DTCC. So you can put that up how you want. So that is happening, and that was one of the catalysts he called. The reverse carrier trade is starting to unwind. Japan already said they're cutting, or they're hiking here in December, and you can actually see the liquidity markets tightening and pulling back. The reverse carry trade is very real, and that's why I've been putting up the stuff with the repo markets and liquidity, right? Because these are the issues that XRP fixes. When I'm giving you guys this macro information, it's centered around XRP and around crypto. It's to paint it's a fluid tapestry of information, right? So when you're talking about liquidity issues and we're talking about the stock market and price going down with XRP, while liquidity issues and economic issues are ramping up worldwide, and we hold an asset that fixes these problems, that's why I get giddy. And that's why a lot of people think I'm crazy, because yeah, there's a lot of pain happening in the market and the price is going down, but I am here for what XRP is going to be 5 years from now, not what it's going to be at the end of the year. My personal opinion. Now a short answer to my long response, Adam. I do not think it's going to $1,000 this year, but at the same time, I will not sit here and claim that I know what is possible with these technologies from a traditional finance mixed with the technology standpoint, and what's happening in the repo markets and what's happening with liquidity and what's happening with private credit. I do see a scenario where it could be adopted and go to extreme levels, but that would be an emergency panic situation for everyone to hop on board with that in a period of time to ramp up the price and start utilizing it at full scale, because that's ultimately what Jake Claver's theory is based on, is that the adoption and use is going to be the flip of the switch. Basically, that the adoption and use is what's going to turn it on. And in order for that to happen, we need a supply shock, which I do think is possible. He's talking about supply shock getting, up to $100, $25. I just think if there really is a supply shock, which I think there very well could be, because I have reported on all of the XRP leaving exchanges. I do believe that if there is a supply shock, that the price will go up dramatically. $1,000, $100, I don't know. I was saying realistically, probably between 15 to 25 if we're lucky. My opinion, not financial advice. But I do see to add on that though. Adam, I do believe that over time, the valuation of XRP is going to be tied to the value it's moving, which makes the price impossible to predict. But we also know that XRP was designed to run at $10,000. So the cool thing about XRP and about the speculative area is that it leaves so much room for interpretation on how things are going to play out, what's actually going to work, what this means to this, what means to this. You can create all these different stories and narratives. And ultimately, I'm trying to build mine based on factual information that I have in front of me and what I see in the stock market, and then what I believe based on economic history and macroeconomic events. So long-winded answer to your question, Adam. I hope that provided some clarity for you. Janine, let's see. A lot could happen in a month and a half. Who knows? But with the tariff 2K they're wanting to give out, it makes me think maybe they want to hold off so people can get money back in the market. I've been hearing about that too, Janine. I honestly, I'll shoot this straight with you. I don't think that's going to have any impact on the market this year at all whatsoever. I think that the 2000 they're talking about, if we are to see it, we will not see it until September of next year, right before midterm elections. They're going to use it as a political ploy. I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever. They do not care about us. I hate to say it, especially Trump. They do not care about us, the little people. That $2,000, I would be willing to bet my $2,000 we will not see it this year for sure. I'd be willing to bet September, maybe. Thanks for pointing that out, Janine. A lot of people have been like, "Oh, we're gonna get $2,000 this year." No, we ain't. We'll be lucky if we get it next year. Let's see. Are these glitches real? I've heard of this, but is it real? Yeah, it is real, William. There's been several reports of prices glitched on different exchanges. And ultimately, it's happened on Kraken a lot, which makes me think. But Kraken is tightly aligned with Ripple and XRP. And that's why I said they could be doing something with a private corridor or ledger in the background. My opinion, not financial advice. To me, it sounds like they're testing something. Yeah, those price glitches, they're real. Again, like I said earlier, no one's going to spend $90 on still sticking and holding true to my initial thesis. We are in extreme fear right now. Most of the time when extreme fear happens, a price pump typically can follow. Again, this is the market, not financial advice. It could go down tomorrow. It could go down while I'm speaking right now. Very possible. Let's take a look. I haven't pulled up the chart a little bit. Sorry for the quiets. I can't talk. We're still on BTC. Let's look at XRP, see what XRP did while we were talking. How's the stream quality? Is it still clean? Let's take a look. Oh, we went up. We're at 213 right now. So slight rise. We're at 213.6. Good start to the day. Let's see here. Do you think they would suppress the price for that reason? The only reason I've heard a lot of talk about the price suppression, and I mean it's pure speculation. We know that, and I like to ask questions that the questions that make me think. If I were them, why would I want to suppress the price? If I had billions of XRP, why would I want to suppress the price? Because if I have billions of XRP and I suppress the price, I'm keeping myself from making money. So the only reason I would suppress the price is if I knew it was going to make more money later. So, and then you have to talk about coordination. And I don't think we're ever going to know what's in those NDAs. So, William, so now it's just a waiting game. We should all check back in 2030. You know, I would agree with you. I would agree with you. But new technologies come out, new clarity comes out, what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, guys, my stroke brain is not letting me find the word right now. Not new clarity, not new regulation. Yeah, new regulations. That's the word I'm looking for. New regulations may come out next year that change everything and make it go faster or slower, or, they could come out and, like for instance, if we were to check back in 2030, let me just give you two examples here. If we were to check back in 2030, and let's say next year, the White House comes out and says, we're going to use XRP as a strategic financial asset for our country and debit a currency. And you don't check back till 2030. I don't know about you, but I'd be mortgaging my freaking house and putting everything into XRP before it explodes if I could. That's just, so that's why we follow the news. That's why we stay on top of it. And it could go the other way. They could come out and something could come out and say XRP is a scam and it falls through the floor and it's worth zero and you get nothing. I don't think that's the case, obviously, with how much money and connections they have. But I think we are fully beyond the fact that XRP is a scam right now, other than people saying that the actual native token is not going to do anything. But we all know that the company using it is definitely not a scam. You become one of my favorite XRP channels to watch as you use facts and not hopium. You keep it real. So thank you and good luck going forward. Wishing you all the success. Hit the like button. I appreciate that, guys. That's, when I first came on here, I love how this live streams were turning to hang out with just my regulars. That's great. But I really do appreciate that, because when I first came on here and started talking about XRP, of course, like any small channels, it's really hard to get noticed. And you're right. It's just a sea of hype. And I'll tell you guys a funny story too when it comes to YouTube. So it's just a sea of hype. And it's at the beginning, if I wasn't screaming at the top of my lungs or something, like, no one would watch it. I wasn't getting to the right audience, like Janine, like William, like Adam. I appreciate all of you. I wasn't getting to the right audience yet. But as I continued and was reading the comments and talking to my subscribers and talking to the viewers, I started realizing that the reason my content wasn't getting to the right people is because it's so flooded with the hype. And as soon as I calmed down, and started just being me, things took off. I started finding you all. It's great. So, and a funny thing about YouTube, and I'm going to stick up for a lot of content creators because a lot of them just don't know and they're starting and they don't have the information. But a lot of the tools they use to get their keywords and their title suggestions are based off search terms and things like that. It's AI. And it tells them to put those clickbait titles and those clickbait thumbnails and all those things. I could pull it up and show you right now. Like, for instance, the title I did for my last video, I was talking about like the debasement trade or something like that. Or I forget what it was, but vidIQ's changed the title as something that was just pure hopium hype clickbait. So, well, thanks, Janine. I appreciate it. I toned those down too. They're still uppity. With, I have to do the pattern changes and stuff like that. It's human psychology or people don't watch. So that they're a little uppity, but my stream's more the real me. So the whole purpose of the shorts is to get people to figure out what I'm actually talking about in the stream. As opposed to, a 20, 30-second clip, which is impossible to give people information. Oh, we're up 214 and rising. Maybe we should just hang out on the chart and talk. It seems to be working really, really great. Give good info and good energy through info. That's exactly right, Janine. That's the goal. At the end, I always say subscribe. And ever since I've done that, things have changed for me dramatically over the last weeks just by saying subscribe at the end of my shorts. And I appreciate all of you who are subscribed. Appreciate all of you who hit the like button. This is a community I plan on growing and being here until 2030. I want to be on this entire XRP ride with you guys till 2030, 2035. This is the beginning of crypto. It just is starting. You notice it gets a lot of views. Yeah, no, my shorts are definitely what people are tuning in for. Definitely, it's driving the channel. I kind of found my lane. People do tend to like the shorts quite a bit. Any thoughts on HBAR XLM? I only invested in 3 crypto: XRP, XLM, and HBAR. Okay, again, not financial advice. Again, my personal investment strategy is 5 cryptos. And I said what they are. I'm not going to repeat them right now. I'll tell you Bitcoin and XRP are in there. And Chainlink. I really like Chainlink. But here's what my choices are focused on. Do research. Do your own research. You need to know what you're holding. I appreciate you all listening to me, but I will be the first person to tell you go do your own research. I get it wrong too. Okay. So XRP, to me, I focus on adoption and utility. That is what is driving my investments. So if it does not have some form of adoption or utility, I don't touch it. Bitcoin is in there. Why? Because of adoption. Follow the money. Bitcoin is one of mine. As long as the millionaires and billionaires are pumping it, it's going to continue to pump. Eventually, it's going to go down. I think, my opinion. I think eventually it'll fail. But right now, while the big money's still pumping in there, I'm pumping in there. My XRP is my long-term hold. That is the one I feel most passionate about. That's why I'm on here screaming through the rooftops for you. I also like Chainlink because of its partnerships and adoptions. And I would focus on any of the ISO 20022 tokens, HBAR, XLM, XDC. I would research all of those as well. Anything that is centered in tokenization, Ondo, Avalanche. Over the next 5 years, tokenization is going to be massive. This is why I follow the news. So you can connect the dots. Okay, Larry Fink, the largest asset manager in the world, says everything's going to be tokenized in 5 years. Maybe we should invest in tokenization. You see what I'm saying? So that's how I'm stupid simple when it comes to this stuff, guys. It's supply and demand, it's utility, it's use case. Like, is there a need? Does it solve a problem? The most money in this world is made by solving problems, and XRP solves one of the biggest problems in the world right now. My opinion, not financial advice. But all right, I think that's the end of the video. We're going 30 minutes now. I appreciate every single one of you. This was great. I enjoyed chatting with you, William, Janine, Adam. And anyone else who comes in down the road, this is what I do every single day, Monday through Friday. I do a live stream. First beginning of it, I go over the chart, I go over the news, and we give my take on it. And then at the end, I open up to questions and answers, because I love interacting with all of you. And I personally feel when I can sit here and have a conversation with people, that the content's just that much better. And I hope you guys agree. But as always, if you made it to the end, hit the like button, make sure you're subscribed, leave a comment. I appreciate the chat, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning, hopefully with some great news. Later.